I'm going through all of the perks, ammo mods, and field upgrades, testing every single base item with—
Stop. What the fuck is this? Multiplayer is getting these crazy game-changing risks while we are just left in the background. Zombies mode used to be the place where Treyarch took risks, experimented with all types of things, and gave us crazy new things, ideas, weapons, maps, like concepts, like all of these things. But now zombies is just an afterthought. I mean, we rarely get these kinds of mechanics in our mode, which we have the make-believe mode to do things that way. And it is so upsetting because if you saw my video yesterday, where I talked about the over-monetization problem, I talked about how zombies isn't as easy for Activision, Treyarch, Call of Duty to monetize. So they just don't invest the same effort, focus into zombies. Multiplayer and Warzone, they get the big risks. They get the big changes. Zombies just literally gets left behind. And it is so frustrating to me. It is so aggravating to me because they could actually make risks and make the game mode better. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War took such better risks than any game of the last 5 or 6 years when it came to zombies. And that game is the best game that we've gotten of the last 5 or 6 years, zombies mode wise. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of the risks that we've gotten in the past that have worked and didn't work. Why? We're going to talk about different maps, modes, features, perks, and mods, field upgrades, weapons, wonder weapons, all that stuff, and break down what risks they have taken, what we like, what they could drop off, and then also what risks I would like to see in Black Ops 7 going forward, because hopefully they are willing to give us the same, at least some level of love and risk taking. And for the record, if you think that they are giving it to us, they're actually not. So let's get right into the video. All right, so before we jump into the meat of this video, I must give the disclaimer per usual. Now, this one is a little bit different because I'm going to be talking a lot about risks today, and risks that are probably going to turn off a lot of people who just want zombies to go back to the old days, good old days. And I get it, right? Nostalgia is great. It's strong. But here's the thing. We are never, ever going back to the exact old days. It's not happening. We literally have to rehire the original developers and put them in the exact same creative environment with the same creative freedoms, meaning that we would also need Activision to be creatively free and allowing them to do what they want to do. Like, we would have to literally put them in a creative environment that does not exist anymore. And that's just literally not happening. It's physically and creatively impossible to do that. So if you're somebody who's going to get upset that I'm talking about pushing these, the zombies mode forward instead of going back in the past, well, you can either leave the channel or just have to accept that we're in a new era. We are, period. Everybody must accept it. We need to let these current developers find their own identity and take new risks. They cannot replicate the past. They are not the talented developers that we had back then. And that's okay. We should be encouraging them to build something new with the tools and the skills and the vision that they have now, not chain them to these old expectations. It literally pulls them apart. We've got the old fans wanting them to pull back to the old way, and then new fans, which really is not new fans that are complaining or talking about it. Really, it's Activision knowing the new fans are paying money. So it's the money pulling them the other way, meaning that they are split, and we're not going to get the concepts, the designs, the way we should. And that's why we're getting classic mode, but it's cursed mode, but it's locked behind standard mode, but it's not also classic mode because you have to earn certain relics. And you got this roguelike. Do you see what let them cook with who they are now. And if they fell on their face, then guess what? They either get better or they get fired, and they find somebody else that's better. So that being said, now let's get into the video. So the very first thing I want to talk about is difficulty as a risk in zombies. Because as of the last few games, we haven't really gotten amazing difficulty like we have before, but we also haven't really gotten much difficulty risk taking in the last 5 or 6 years. So one example would be the Legion boss fight from Cold War and Outbreak. That was awesome, right? It was huge risk to go and fight it. It was a huge risk for them to put a boss in the game where people did not beat it the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth try. It took weeks for my team just to beat it the first time. And I would say we were a very skilled team. We were on 4 different world records. So it took a lot of risk for them to put the Legion boss fight in there, a boss fight that was so difficult, so challenging. And also, like, it was a huge risk, but it was amazing. And it was so fun and so very much worth it. The Easter egg was a major challenge, especially the lockdown underneath the and the silo, right? That was really cool. The risk that they took to even just put that in there, knowing that the community would be divided, I appreciate. And granted, it's not that I want to divide a community. I just want them to take the risks that would get the community having conversations and challenging and pushing each other. Another huge risk that they took was the unstable rift in Modern Warfare Z. Now, I'm not saying that I liked it and I preferred it, because I really hated the marketing that they had around it, that round-based zombies fans are going to like it. But the unstable rift was a 5-round challenge that you could go into, and it was extremely intense, and most people consistently lost. They locked an animated camo behind it too for all your weapons. That was amazing. That was an amazing risk for them to take, saying, hey, if you cannot complete this challenge, you don't get this camo. And people were going in failing as well, right? So outside of the bad marketing, it was a great example of them cooking with their own difficulty in the way that they want to. Again, I really hated the marketing. So, but then also another risk. So Modern Warfare Z was just a whole risk by itself. But yeah, I'm just talking about specifically difficulty here. The Entity boss fight, the Entity Echoes boss fight, with the Dark Ethers. Oh my God, that boss fight was so good. And just going into the Dark Ether anyway, and having the Elder Sigils. Oh, that was a genius risk for them to take, to put this extremely difficult boss with a really great. We got amazing rewards, which are both just in game and also for universal camos as well. And the camo looked fantastic. But to put that much stuff behind this majorly difficult boss, also behind this majorly difficult ether mission. It was a huge mission, 3 different missions that you had, plus other hidden Easter eggs in it. That was a major risk for them to take, and the community could have given them complete backlash. Like, why are you going to do something like this? But they did it, and it was fun, and it brought the community together, right? Black Ops 6 Zombies, what do we get? Nothing. There's nothing. We got no difficulty risk at all. They played it completely safe. And it looks like Black Ops 7 is going the same exact route, which is extremely disappointing. All right, so next let's talk about risky key features and modes. So back in Black Ops Cold War, we got Onslaught mode. That, I think, outside of like Modern Warfare Z being an entire just risky game in itself, Onslaught was one of the riskiest and best modes that I've introduced to zombies, at least in the last 5 or 6 years. It was pure survival. It was a pure survival experience on multiplayer maps where you did just drop zombies on there, and there was no strategies at all. No strategy. You can just go in there and turn your brain off. Just go in there, shoot, kill zombies, loot up from the bosses that you would defeat every few rounds. That was it. They haven't replicated that same level of risk in a mode at all. And they're not doing that in Black Ops 7. I want to talk about survival mode a little bit later on and why that matters. But let's talk about Outbreak in Black Ops Cold War as well. Outbreak was their first attempt at this really, real huge open world zombies experience. It was a major risk and a big shift from the just regular round-based zombies maps. That was huge. And not everybody loved it, right? But it did lead to the development of Modern Warfare Zombies, which improved on a lot of things that Black Ops Cold War's Outbreak did not have. And then also it improved and got marginally or objectively better or subjectively better over time as well, till the end of Modern Warfare Z was so good. The end of it was so good. And how has the end of Black Ops 6 gone? How did the launch and every part of Modern Warfare Zombies go? Speaking of Modern Warfare Zombies, it wasn't well received, but they took a lot of risks, right? And just the objective-based mode. But taking those risks brought us some really great design concepts, really great atmosphere, while they attempted different tones. And that was good. I hated everything else, right? But it pushed them in a different direction. Something that Black Ops 6 and so far Black Ops 7 is not getting, right? Black Ops 6 maybe had that one, I can't figure out the name of it, that one candy mode where you had to find items to heal. That was a really cool mode. Plus, after I discovered, I was the first one. I was the first one, actually, legitimately. After I discovered retaliation augment on Juggernog, where it gives you a bonus extra 50% damage when you're below 50%, you could just get hit down to where you were under 50% and under 50% HP, and you did 50% more health or more damage. Plus, also in that mode, the longer you didn't get hit, the more damage you did. They eventually capped it out at a certain point, right? But then you're doing 50% more damage on top of whatever that cap was. That was actually good. It was mildly risky, right? But it was good. It was still safe overall, but it was fun. They tried it. They attempted. And then they shot on one. They tried to bring it back for that Abomination Challenge thing. But other than that, they didn't take any real risks with the limit time modes or any they didn't. And Black Ops 7, it looks like the same exact patterns. No big risks, no bold new modes. It's more of the same exact safe approach. All right, so now here's what I want to talk about risks that I would like to see in Black Ops 7 Zombies. And I would love your guys' feedback on this section and how you feel like they could push forward or take more risks or whatnot. I would love to hear you guys' feedback on this. And I like to give kind of my ideas and takes, but so I want to break this down in a few different ways. First, I want to talk about the 3 modes that we're going to be getting in Black Ops 7 Zombies. And then I want to talk about perks, MMOs, and field upgrades. And then I want to talk about weapons. And then we're going to get out of here. So first off, the 3 modes. Standard mode. If I could, I would just love it for the community to just let the new developers just do whatever, right? I would want them to completely rework the standard Zombies formula. I would. Because we've had the same predictable Easter eggs, main quests, gameplay loops, the same exact feel since Cold War. Before that, different feelings. We had different gameplay loops, different ones, different systems, different mechanics, different Easter egg style steps, different ways that you approach. It's the same exact formula right now. We need a change in that formula. We need a change in that formula. And so I would love a full overhaul on how they completely rework it. Again, the issue, though, is that they can't when you got money pulling them towards different strategies, different mechanics, but old Zombies fans pull them away. And now they have to try an umbrella in-house. And I'm not taking up for them, but I'm just saying this is the struggle that they have. Right, I want them to be able to break the mold. Really, that's really it, right? I want entirely new mechanics that don't really lean just on old school nostalgia or cater to just monetization. I just want the developers to create something fresh from the ground up. Like in my brain, what would make standard mode perfect is if they acted like the last 20 years of Call of Duty Zombies did not exist. They knew nothing about it, and they started from the ground up. That's what I would want. I know we're not gonna get that, right? I know we're not gonna get that, but that's what I would want. Curse mode or classic mode. A risk that I would love for them to take. Classic mode is almost on the edge of being a roguelite experience. It is, right? I would love for them to just turn this mode like this, because it's not truly classic mode. Like, you do understand that it's not truly classic mode. You got options, you got choices, and you get to pick. And since they've got it crafted to where you got these different sort of mechanics where you have to go in, it's kind of mission driven, right? Go in, grab different relics to change your gameplay style, make things more difficult, or make yourself more overpowered. That's the beginning mechanics of a roguelike. Push a little bit further into that and make this a standalone mode with its own sort of progression, its own sort of quest or Easter eggs. You don't even have to have a main quest, right? In a roguelike, you don't even need to have one, right? We don't need to have a traditional storyline or anything else. I would love for it to just become a the roguelike mode of zombies. We've got objective-based modes, we've got round-based modes, we've got open world modes, we've got survival or onslaught modes, we've got freaking Dead Ops, the arcade mode. Bro, take over and do a roguelike zombies mode. I would love for them to take that risk. Maybe they fail, maybe they flop, but if they went all the way into it as a roguelike, I think that they would be they'd be impressed. Roguelikes have become much more popular nowadays. And then let's talk about the survival mode. Survival mode, just to be honest with you, and I'm trying to keep opinions out of this video and kind of keep it factual, but bro, survival mode looks so very boring. They're just cutting a slice of the regular map and just giving you all the resources. That's it, right? That's not really survival at all, like actually at all. So what I would like is for them to go back to the onslaught roots and just make survival mode onslaught. That's it. That would be perfect. Why is onslaught the true survival mode? Because you don't get anything. You could spawn in with your loadout or whatever with one weapon or two weapons, but you have to get and acquire everything from the map, from the bosses who spawn every few rounds, and they could change up that formula, right? But if they just made survival mode onslaught mode, that'd be perfect. That would be perfect. That would be a huge risk that they took again, and they'd be starting off at the beginning of the game as well with full development into it at the beginning of the game versus in Cold War with Onslaught. They didn't really develop it. They didn't start developing it until like February after the game release. And then in February, they kind of started to update it and started to realize, oh crap, this is actually a really good game mode. So that's what I would like for them to do with the 3 modes. Now let's talk about the perks and mods and field upgrades. So for those, to be honest with you, they just need brand new perks and mods and field upgrades, to be honest with you. Again, like I said before, I would love for them to just scrap the entire gameplay loop and bring in all new perks, a whole new perk system, a whole new MMOD set, whole new field upgrades. The reason why they keep using the same stuff, though, is because these developers do not have the time, skill, or passion, or the creative freedom to rebalance the entire gameplay mode. I know that. They don't. Somebody created it at some point, right? Somebody had the idea that came from their brain, and it was built off from there. So why not do that again? Why not do that again? Start from scratch. But they don't want to have to start all the way over, because imagine if they took out Jug, they'd have to rebalance HP and the armor system. They took out Quick Revive, they have to rebalance your armor HP and all that stuff, right? If they took out these things, they have to rebalance it completely. So if they started all the way from scratch, they have to scrap the entire game mode. I'm okay with that. Again, I just talked about that. Standard mode, I think it needs to be fully gutted. Like, we don't need Juggernaut. We don't need no Juggernaut. Yeah, it's nostalgia to have Jug and Quick Revive and Speed Cult and all that crap. It's nostalgia, but like, I want unique mechanics over nostalgia. Take out Juggernaut. If they take out Juggernaut and stop giving us those same old perks, because like, if you think about it, if they do an overhaul, they can build a game where you don't need Juggernaut. They could, and then it could be much better. Yeah, that'll be all new perks. That's the fun part, to get the chance to learn that. And I'm not saying they have to do that every single game, but brother, it's been 5-6 years of the same exact thing, and most of you guys will argue that it has been 20 years of the same exact thing. So let's talk about the weapons. Why is multiplayer getting a score streak that gives you wall hacks and allows you to shoot through as many walls and buildings as on a map? But weapons and zombies are getting nerfed because the zombies are tired of getting beat up. Why? Can anybody explain to me that? Why are they getting those risks, but we're not? Brother, if it was up to me, a couple things. First, I've already talked about it a year ago. Weapons should feel strong, but also should be give or take, right? give or take. I talked about it a year ago. I said they need to push weapon damage up ×4, the max ×4. In Black Ops 6 Zombies, the max that you can upgrade your weapon damage is ×32 from its base or core damage. Push that out ×4 to 128. That would be perfect. But in doing that, they would also need to make each upgrade, both rarity and both Pack-a-Punch, cost a lot more resources. I talked about it before. Actually, I wasn't going to show you guys this, but let me do it. Back in Black Ops 6 Zombies, this was the regular scaling, right? 32x was the highest that you could get with Legendary Pack 3. I would want them to instead allow us to get to the highest with Legendary in Pack 3, 128 times the damage, right? Now, they would have to push the cost of each of these much higher. And in doing that, what this essentially does is make it harder for you to reach each upgrade. Since it's harder for you to reach each upgrade, that means that you're going to feel weaker a bit earlier than you naturally would before you upgrade it. Right now, like the cost of these it costs more than enough to where like you don't necessarily feel weak by the time you get it. By the time you get Pack 3 Legendary, you don't really feel weak, right? If you're just Legendary Pack 2 or you're Epic Pack 3, you don't feel weak. But in this, it will make you feel weak, but it'll make you earn and really hold your resources to choose and to pick and choose whether you should upgrade your weapon or upgrade your armor or upgrade something else. It will make you do that. There should be this give and take. I would love for them to just take this risk, make everything cost more, but also just buff the damage much more. This would take much longer to get to max damage as well. I mean, it honestly would. I actually tested this out and broke it down in a video from a year ago. So if you want to watch that, maybe I'll try to remember to tag it right here, where I actually broke down how this could actually legitimately work with legitimate testing. So like it could work. That would be a fantastic, bro. That would be so good if they actually took that risk. And then another thing that I would actually love for them to take a risk on with weapons is I don't want to have any of the multiplayer weapons. I don't want to have multiplayer weapons and zombies. I don't. I would love it if they just instead gave us 15 weapons max. But these 15 weapons were truly unique and designed specifically for zombies with cool features, with unique ways to like shoot or to get damage out in some way, shape, or form, or to do cool things. And I'm not saying that all 15 of these need to be wonder weapons, but I'm just saying I would love different weapons than multiplayer. The reason I don't do that is because they can monetize these weapons. They can monetize all that kind of crap. And then loadouts, because loadouts allow you to do the camo grind, which then a camo grind allows them to get more time on you and game, which means that they please their shareholders because they can say, oh, this is the longest played Call of Duty ever. But I would love just 15 weapons, 15 very unique weapons, and then we get DLC weapons. That would be fire, right? And then as far as wonder weapons though, bro, I just want them to bring back creativity. That's it. There's just like no lack. There's like no creativity in wonder weapons at all. Like we've had the Crystal Axe, and I believe it was Forsaken in Black Ops Cold War. That was one of the most unique wonder weapons we got in the last 4 or 5 years. And then also you could say that some of the wonder weapons in Modern Warfare Z were kind of risky or unique, where the secondaries were better than their primary reasons. Like I can't remember the one wonder weapon that you can jump across the map, but that was really cool, right? That was a risk that they took. So I just think they just haven't been taking any risk. And it's actually very upsetting. It's very upsetting to me right now. Just the fact that like we are getting the same stuff, the same risk taking, which is none. And it does not feel like Black Ops 7 is going to have any of that. And those risks are what make the game worth it. That's what makes it saying like, you know what, I want to give this a try. And if it sucked, and it sucked, and that's fine. But they learned something from it. Every time there was a good risk that they took or a bad risk that they took, they learned something from it. So here's what I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What are you thinking about the level of design and risk taking that they're taking with bringing in this curse mode or this survival mode, or even having this much larger, really the biggest round-based zombies mode they ever had with these different POIs and these different places? Like, how are you feeling about the wonder weapon that we have seen? And by the time you guys are watching this, the zombies beta should be active as well. So What are you thinking about the Zombies beta so far? Like, do you like it? Are you concerned? Does it make you want to go ahead and finally pre-order or buy the game? Like, what are you thinking? I'd love to hear you guys' comments down below. With that, have a beautiful goddamn day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. All right, so before we jump into the meat of this video, I must give. So the very first thing I want to talk about are the difficulty risks and zombies when it comes to some of the some of the game modes, or excuse me. What is that? I want to talk about boss fights. No, difficulty. Yeah. And then let's talk about some of the other stuff. Though I just feel like if like the no.